That secret that we know, that we don't know how to tell.
In Psalm 78, the psalmist writes this: "We will not hide these truths from our children, but tell them to the coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord and His power and the wonders that He has done." What would it look like to be a church that embraced the truth the psalmist is sharing with us? What would it look like to be a church where young and old would come and worship and serve Jesus together? What would it look like to be a church where the idea of a generation gap simply didn't exist? What would it look like to be a church where we could be the family of God, coming together across generations to serve Him? In the North American church, the dropout rates of young people graduating from church as soon as they graduate from high school is alarming. The statistics sound something like this: between 60 to 80% of students leave their faith as soon as they leave high school. This becomes the equivalent of going through some sort of Christian phase, like I went through my punk rock phase, or I played jazz band when I was in high school, and I was a Christian back then. And while our youth programs here at NLCC are really strong and really healthy and growing, and we've got a great church environment here, we also have the potential to become one of these statistics. There have been struggles and transitions from our youth programs to the church as a whole. Many of the young adults and the parents of young adults that I've talked to here at NLCC have shared about this struggle, a struggle to find a place of belonging in the greater church. Since November of last year, the youth ministry leadership team has been in discussion and in prayer about how to create an environment of belonging here at our church for our young people. We've talked about making programmed environments to be able to connect youth, not just to a high school program, but to our church as a whole. So we've been talking with other BC churches, we've been talking with our pastors, we've talked with our elders, we've talked with many youth and many parents about ways that we can incorporate them into the life and body of the church. So we want to be a church where every generation is faithfully equipping the next generation. From age 6 to age 60, we come and worship Jesus together. We recognize generational differences, but we don't allow those differences to disband us. Instead, they unify us, diversity through unity. We want to come together worshiping and serving Jesus as a family. So, we're going to make some significant changes in our high school program to better foster this kind of a church culture. On Sunday mornings, instead of youth just going to a high school worship service, they're going to be incorporated and invited to be a part of the morning services, the main part of the church life. Our Ignite ministry, grades 6 through 8, will be moving from the chapel down to the youth room during 8:30 services, while youth will be active participants in the main service at 8:30. Here's what this isn't. We're not just canceling Sunday morning high school programs. Instead, we're inviting high school students to be active members of the church on Sunday morning. So you'll see teens serving as ushers and greeters. You'll see teens in the sound booth. You'll see teens helping lead us in worship through music. You'll see teens worshiping alongside you as we try to follow Jesus together. Our Friday nights will incorporate some of the best of what we're already doing on Sundays and Fridays, creating a youth worship service that meets from 7 to 9:30 p.m., where we'll have worship and teaching, hanging out and fellowship, and then we'll break into life groups to be able to have spiritual conversations with one another. This is going to be a great environment for teens to invite their friends. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spiritual. We'll grow closer to Jesus together. Our Ignite services are also going to shift a bit too, where Ignite's actually going to start meeting in life groups once a month on Friday nights to better incorporate life groups into our whole youth ministry. And on Sunday mornings, we'll still have times for high school students to connect and meet with one another in between services from 10 to 10:30 for a time of fellowship and gathering together. On September 15th, we'll have our first Sunday morning worship services with teenagers as active participants in the 8:30 morning service. On Friday, September 20th, we'll have our very first high school youth group night, which will be a great way for teens to invite their friends and kick off our ministry year in the best way possible. We're tired of the statistics. We think that by God's grace and strength, our church can be different. We want to see young people graduate from high school and be active members of the church with deep connections, deep relationships to the whole church, not just a youth program. We want to be a church that is willing to share the good news and the truth of who Jesus is with the next generation. We want to share with the next generation about God's glorious wonders, His power, and His mighty deeds.